and welcome to the Boopcast, episode 26. We are your host, SheNoob, and...
Cory.
I just noticed something about the overlay. Cory,
And?
you're in Wade's spot, and Wade is in yours.
I told you turning my camera off would screw it up.
No, I think it was actually my fault.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think because it started off that way, and I was like resizing your windows, and I forgot to swap them. So
my
I fixed
computer's
it now.
having
It's
issues.
fine.
Fine.
I just
It's
fixed
fine.
it. It's fine. Hello,
I'm the new
everybody. This podcast is the most organized show on the internet, bar none. So, we have Wade here with us, who has graciously offered to fill in very, very last minute because, guests went AWOL. We were organising a bunch of different people. It just hasn't been a good week for scheduling. It's been very last minute because I've been away. So, yeah, it's just been a bit messy. But we're here now, and Wade's here. And we need to talk. We need to talk about Chapter 11. Or just we need to talk. Oh god. So, chapter 11. Yeah, that was a thing. Where do we even start?
No, it wasn't.
Well, I said, where do we start? I don't even...
Where do we start? So, I know many of you have only just seen the episode this morning. If you are here and you haven't seen it, A, what are you doing here? B, go to roosterteeth.com and sign up for a free account. You can use your Facebook or whatever and watch the goddamn episodes when they come out on Tuesday afternoons. When is it for you guys?
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday mornings.
Tuesday morning.
9 a.m. for me.
Which is very early Wednesday morning for me. So,
Right.
yes, go sign up for an account so you can watch them when they are aired for registered users. Otherwise, you are waiting until Saturday, which is a silly thing to do, especially this week. So,
Especially this week.
Yeah.
So,
William, have you seen it this time?
William,
Yeah, I was
please
gonna
tell me
say-
you've seen the episode. Hello,
If
I'm
not,
on
I'm
board.
positive
M.
you've been
Bush.
spoiled.
So who wants to rip the bandage? Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, I know many of you have only just seen it. I know you are shocked and probably hurting. We will discuss this in detail. And I mean, we've had a couple days for it to sink in, and it still doesn't really feel real to me. Like, I've rewatched the episode twice now, and I'm still like, nah, that didn't happen.
I had to
I'm in
force
denial.
myself to watch it again. Because I didn't want to relive it.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
when I watched it the first time, I went on Skype with Larissa because Cory was sleeping. How dare you? And I went on Skype with Larissa, and we talked about it because I was pretty upset, and
Shook.
I was very shooketh, yes. And we talked about it, and then we decided to rewatch the episode together on Skype because neither of us wanted to rewatch it. So we rewatched it, and then the third time I saw it was when I captured it to do my edit my reaction. So, would you say this is a much needed talk? It's beyond a much needed talk at this point. I mean, what do you say when they drop something like that on us? I mean, Pyrrha was one thing, but to harm our snow angel is unacceptable.
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 Yeah.
I literally sat in silence for 5 minutes after when I was done with it because I couldn't believe they had just done that. I literally was just like,
I was watching my reaction back, and I'm literally looking at it like going, my face is just stonewall because I don't know what I'm taking in. What is happening right now? What?
Yep. My reaction was very difficult to edit, actually, because I had
Was there
something of a
screaming?
meltdown. Which is kind of embarrassing watching it back, but I'm like...
That's good content.
Yeah, exactly, but yeah, it was very difficult to edit because when it happened and then the episode ended, I was very pissed off. So I kind of just screamed and swore a lot, and then I cried for 10 minutes, a lot of which I had to cut out. And then I was cursing at Miles and Kerry, and and saying if Weiss dies, I'm not going to watch this show anymore, which I'm holding to.
Yeah,
they can't kill her. It's literally the only thing that brings me solace right now.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll talk
can't
about
kill her.
Yeah, we'll talk about all the reasons why they can't kill her, because there are many. But
yeah. Do we want to go through the beginning of the episode and everything?
I didn't even end the reaction video properly because I was too upset. I just stopped recording. So I had to put like a screen at the end with text being like, "Thanks for watching." It's kind of awkward. I was just distraught. I just couldn't believe that had just happened. I was kind of in shock. So yeah.
Wow.
High zero calorie tea.
I actually never asked you this, Beck, but like, I know that you were away up until you saw the episode, but did you see like even any of the people like the freaking out on Twitter about the episode? Because
I talked about it at the very beginning of my reaction. The only things I saw on Twitter, like I didn't see anything related to Weiss, thankfully.
Yeah.
But the only things I saw was Miles's tweet about his voice acting, and somebody else tweeting him commending his voice acting, and then some bright person who knows who they are, if they're here, decided to tweet at me that Lionheart. That's Lionheart. Lionwood put together.
Wow, that's a ship name.
He tweeted to me that Lionheart was dead to him. And I was like, bro, what the hell did I just say yesterday about tweeting me about this episode? I'm in the bush. I cannot watch it. But, you know, well, I was on the beach, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, so I think we just need to start off by talking about this, because how else are we going to get through the rest of the episode without discussing this
exactly.
first?
Yeah.
I have said a few times I don't want to make any more predictions about the show because everything I predict is wrong. Let me start off by saying that this volume has gone exactly where I expected it to, and nowhere I expected it to at the same time.
Yeah.
I did not
It's
see
been a
this
fantastic
coming.
volume.
This volume has thrown so many curveballs at us, it's not even funny. Just completely out of left field stuff that we had no way of seeing coming, and this was one of those things. I mean, there was some build-up during the actual event of like, okay, Weiss is going to get hurt here, but until it actually happens, it's kind of, well, it's unthinkable, because how could they do that to a quarter of Team RWBY when the show is called RWBY, and it's the 5th volume, and we have like 4 more to go? Like, come on, you can't kill Weiss now. But,
yeah.
SheNoob unintentionally creates a ship name. Yeah, Lionwood. So, yeah, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna say that I think one of 3 things will happen.
Oh, good. You have multiple theories, too.
Of course, because I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. One theory is that she will die, but she'll be brought back to life by Ozpin. Another theory is that she will die, but Jean will bring her back. Another theory is that she won't die and Jean will heal her. Those are my 3 predictions. One of those 3 things is what I think will happen. But knowing this fucking show, none of those things are going to happen. So don't take my word as gospel. What do you guys think?
I have 2 other ideas.
Oh, God.
One is they use the relic to heal her. Because we don't know how these relics work. So there's always a potential of this strange magic item helping. Or Ozpin has always been so connected to clocks and stuff. I can't help but wonder if there isn't going to be some sort of weird, like, time travel back sort of situation that happened.
That's been a popular theory, yeah.
Just because, especially everything...
No, go ahead.
You go on.
No, they couldn't do that with Mira, obviously, because at that point, Cinder had already beaten Ozpin.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, so that's a legitimate theory.
Oh, shut up, William. I'll change the Nightbot right now.
But yeah, I just think the way that they set up that fight there were so many things where it was like, if they did it differently, it'd be so much different. Like Ruby starting to Silver Eyes and then suddenly being knocked out of it is like, that feels like a moment where, like, if they went back in time and they like properly protected Ruby from Emerald, that she could have done that, and stuff like that. So it's kind of why I think that it's maybe a potential that it's going to be like a weird kind of this is a really strange thing to make, but in the TV show The Magicians, they were trying to kill a god basically, and they used a spell that caused them to go back in time, and they just kind of went through time loops to try to see how different things turned out. And I'm just like wondering if this is one of the potential futures that is like the Ozpin is like working through right now, basically, of how this thing is down.
That's my fourth idea, is that this whole thing was a fake out, in that it was, we were seeing some kind of future or some shit, and we get into chapter 12 and it hasn't even happened. But I doubt it.
I hope they don't do that, honestly, because that honestly to me seems more of a cop out.
It is. That's the only reason I don't enjoy that theory, is because I don't like the whole it was a dream. I don't like when they do huge big like things and then they go, just kidding. Wouldn't that be awful?
Yeah, I feel like Ruby isn't a show that's gonna do that kind of thing. I feel like everything that you see is what's happening.
Right.
Yeah, so what about you, Wade? What do you think?
I mean, honestly, my probably 80% that it's gonna happen is that something's gonna happen with John. I mean, he's getting too ramped up now for something not to happen with that, and with the fact that like Oscar mentioning his semblance earlier in the volume also, and just I don't know, just it seems too obvious that something's going to happen with Jean. But maybe that actually is the problem. It's too obvious, then they'll pull the rug out from under our feet, and that actually won't happen. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hoping, but there's no way they will kill a titular character of the show. The show's called Ruby. I mean, it's not called Ruby. I mean, it's just I mean, technically, it does still work as Ruby, but I don't see them doing that. They're just giving us a scare. And the other thing with that is that during Volume 3, when they had like Pierre's death and Penny's death and even Torchwick's, it was during the episode, and it was there was no cliffhanger for it. During like Volume 4, when they left off when Crow passed out from poison, they didn't kill him. They didn't kill that episode because they were just like, oh, we're giving you a scare. They cut off from Weiss after that happened. It seems like we're just giving you a scare kind of cliffhanger.
Yeah, the way
especially with how quickly it ended.
The way they cut when she was halfway through falling to the ground was not only for dramatic effect, but like they cut it at a point where she's been mortally wounded and is in serious immediate danger, but she's not dead yet.
All right.
And
I mean, she could be like in a coma or something. I mean, that's like plausible, but that's not honestly the where she was hit. And a lot of people are obviously over analyzing this, but it just wasn't a fatal blow. Like Pierce was right through the heart.
Yeah, they
did that on purpose, and they aimed away from that to her side. They could have easily just gone right through the middle and right through her heart. But I think there was a reason they aimed off to the side.
Yeah, it's not an immediately fatal injury, but it could be fatal if left unattended. Like, she could bleed to death very quickly, as a matter of fact. But one thing I found interesting was that we didn't see Weiss's aura escaping her wound.
Like we did with Yang.
Like we did with Yang and like we did with Pierre.
Yeah.
Well, all we saw was the spear kind of dissipate, but there was no... Because we know Weiss's aura is a light blue because we saw it go down in this episode, which is the first time we've ever seen Weiss's aura taken down as well. So there was no aura particles escaping her wound. I don't know if that was an oversight or if it's going to be included in chapter 12 or what is going on with that, or if it was just
I just hope they don't have a thing where they go to Blake at chapter 12.
Yeah, because we same thing, we didn't see Aura when Blake was injured. That whole bit with Blake getting stabbed is just strange to me. It's always been strange to me. Because, like, she gets up after that and carries Yang out, even though she's been run through the middle, basically. Yeah, that whole thing was just a little bizarre to me. But,
yeah. Alexander in the chat asks, what if her aura was already shattered during her fight with Renal? It was, but yeah. Also in Cinder versus Pyrrha, Pyrrha's aura was also shattered, but when she was shot by Cinder, her aura still poured out of her wound.
The thing about aura is that it's a tangible thing. It's like blood, and when they're wounded, it escapes the wound much like blood does. So we saw it with Pyrrha and we saw it with Yang. And the aura came out before the blood, which I thought was interesting. So because we've always thought of aura as more of a force, because they described it like a force field, and it was very rarely something that we saw tangibly. But until then, we didn't realize that it is as tangible as blood. So it's a thing that resides within their body and sort of, yeah, I don't have the words to describe, but
no, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
because it is still kind of magic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a type of magic. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens with that. But God, I just still can't believe that this happened. I'm like,
I know.
Of all characters, of all the ways I thought this fight was going to go wrong, because we all knew it was going to go badly.
It was going to go wrong.
Yeah.
That was not it.
No.
I did not expect them in a million years to do this. And
yeah,
that's why they've done it. Because nobody would have... None of us could have seen this coming. There's absolutely no way anyone would have predicted this to be the outcome. Well, not even the outcome. It's still in the middle of what's going on. I definitely think that Jean is going to be vital in Weiss's survival. Mainly because when her aura went down, he was the first one to notice. And Cinder was taunting him, like, are you going to let her die too? And
yeah, they're building up Jean way too much for him not to have a part in this.
Weiss is someone that Jean cares very deeply about, has had quite a connection with, even though the two of them haven't really interacted in a friendly manner much. But even from right from the beginning of Volume 1, Weiss and Jean have had this back and forth. And she is somebody that could awaken that semblance within him, because she is somebody that whose life he would want to save the most. And when Weiss was wounded, it cut back to Jean with the tears running down his face, and it just seems so significant that they were cutting between Jean and Weiss there. They didn't cut to anybody else until she was actually wounded. Then they cut to everyone else, and then to Jean, and they're back to Weiss. So, and, you know, while Cinder was going over there with the spear, he was screaming out, and it's just all seems far too significant for them not to go the route of, okay, Jean's semblance, he's going to save Weiss's life.
Yeah, something's going to awaken.
Or he's going to attempt to save her life. At the very least.
Whatever his semblance is gonna keep her alive for now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although I would argue that Weiss's wound is more severe than Yang's was. Because, well, I mean, it is, technically. Losing an arm will probably not kill you.
Right.
You could bleed to death, but A, it would take a while, and B, she had immediate help. Whereas Weiss's situation, that spear has probably hit her kidney, which is not great. I mean, she can live without one kidney, but it will also bleed very quickly. and everybody in her immediate vicinity is very occupied right now. So.
Right. You have to also take into effect there's still a fight going on. I mean, like Crow and Raven are still fighting, and they're all.
We didn't even see Crow and Raven after they disappeared. Yeah. So
right.
We don't know what's going on with them. Yeah.
That's actually the fight that actually worries me the most, personally.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm a little scared for Crow, but just because they've done this thing with Weiss, I'm not as scared for him now.
Yeah.
And I feel like Raven's far too overconfident, and that will probably undo her. Either that or she'll run away, because that's what she does. So, yeah. Of course, all of my immediate concerns are focused on Weiss right now, so I'm not even thinking about everyone else.
Yeah, literally every fear you could possibly have right now is just gone.
Yeah.
My baby!
My ice queen, no!
There's no rational thought too much right now.
I'm just like, every thought in my brain about this chapter is, please don't kill her, please don't kill her, please don't kill her. Because, literally, I wouldn't be able to handle that. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of tears in chapter 12. Whether they're going to be tears of sadness or joy or both is the question.
I am honestly so surprised I didn't cry at the end of this episode. I think I was just in too much shock that I couldn't. I was just like, no. I just
you were literally
immediately in denial.
You were like Weiss when she doesn't know what to do with her hands. I don't.
Oh god, yeah, no. It took me a while for the shock to wear off before I actually burst into tears. But even then, I was like, it was angry crying. It wasn't attractive. Yeah. So I mean, you guys will see in my reaction. It's you'll have to forgive me in advance for A, my language, and B, my lack of professionalism.
That just makes it good.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to censor some of that. I was using some choice words that may not be acceptable in the context of Ruby.
Jesus.
I was very angry. I still am angry.
Yeah, I bet you were.
I tweeted at Miles after seeing the episode. Oh, yeah. I don't remember what he was tweeting about. Something.
Hey, Carrie is just as much to blame.
I know, but Miles' tweet was the one I saw. Carrie didn't actually tweet about it.
Carrie knew smart enough to stay away from Twitter.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was anticipating the battle, also because Carrie's directing it now, so this is more his fault than Miles'. But, Sam says he froze for half an hour. Yeah, I feel like collectively the entire fandom just paused when that happened. I was like, what the fuck? Because I know
I tried to speak immediately after to sum up my reaction, and I couldn't form words. I know.
I was like, I was trying to speak and put my thoughts out there, but the only words that came out were "what the fuck." Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna have to censor some of that at the end there because it wasn't.
Oh no, man! No,
it wasn't becoming of me. I mean, you guys will see it. I gotta upload that today, but okay. I think we need to rewind here and go from the beginning because there's a lot to talk about to do with this chapter.
Yeah,
a whole bit.
There's a lot of action. There's a lot of back and forth between characters, so we need to get some discussing going on. Cory, you've got the notes. Where are we starting?
Well, we start with the shot on the moon. And we get to see what the full moon looks like.
And it's from a weird angle.
It's very, and it's very fractured. So I know that they say that it appears that the moon is fracturing more, but I've never truly believed that. I've always just believed it's just turning more. And I think
that almost looks like a head-on shot as opposed to the side shots we've had.
Yeah, so that's why it felt like I'm like, okay, it's a full moon. The moon is just, we're seeing it full on with its shattered side.
There's going to be something big with the moon. some day in some volume, there's going to be some big reveal with the moon.
Yeah, we know it's coming.
Something.
It's just a matter of when. Yeah, but the moon was enormous. Was the first thing I noticed, and then, like you said, the fracturedness and the strange angle. Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. I mean, they've begun episodes on the moon. They've had lingering shots on the moon before, like chapter 6 of volume 4, when we had that transition from
Weiss
to
Weiss
concert. We had that very lingering shot of the moon, and Weiss's character short began with a shot of the moon, and it's always been a very significant symbolism. But the first thing I noticed about it was how fucking enormous it was. I was like, good lord, why is it so close all of a sudden? But
that actually brings up an interesting point. I wonder if like a lot of the moon signifies a lot to do with Weiss, because I've noticed we've had a lot of instances where Weiss is brought up on shots where the moon is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just coincidental or if it is a deliberate choice, but I mean, like,
or if they just like the kind of darkness of the night with the whiteness of Weiss.
Yeah. We just don't know enough about it to really make any sort of comment on it. Is the problem?
No.
Yeah, but
they're leaving it vague on purpose.
Yeah, they're leaving it vague on purpose. Of course they are. They always do. So I had anxiety from the very opening seconds of this episode. Just seeing all of them just walking towards Haven Academy, knowing that they were walking into a trap and knowing how wrong this is about to go. I was just like, I didn't say a whole lot during the episode. I said more than I have previously, but
I bet you said a lot at the end.
Oh yeah. I was just so anxious. I was like, ugh. Who's getting hurt here? Like, something bad's gonna happen. And, yeah, but just seeing them all walk into Haven Academy knowing what they're about to walk into when they don't have a clue. It's a classic situation of the audience knowing more than the characters. We know what they're about to walk into, but they've got no idea.
Right.
They have, Crow sort of has an idea of, like, Leo's being sketchy. This is obviously possibly going to be a trap, but I don't think he didn't expect Raven to be involved, for one thing. He wasn't 100% sure that Raven had the Spring Maiden. He didn't know the Spring Maiden was going to be involved. And he certainly couldn't have predicted Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury.
Right.
So there was a lot of factors out of his control that kind of, I mean, he wasn't in the know enough to really see how bad of an idea this was. I'm thankful that Oscar went with them, because I wasn't sure that he would.
I didn't know how to feel about Oscar being there, because I was like, ooh, small boy husband.
I mean,
like, is it
until
time
he
for you to
started
be
kicking
there?
Leo's ass, I was very worried for him.
Right.
Hey, Piskian, welcome.
It's personal hygiene. How'd it go?
Yeah, so until he, like, whipped out that cane and started literally beating the shit out of Leo, I was very, very concerned for his safety. I was like, small boy, why are you here?
Well, that's go on. I have points about that. But
no, go ahead. I'm just collecting.
Well, just so two things I wanted to say about that is when Oscar, like, walks up to Lionheart, he literally doesn't say anything, and Lionheart just up and shoots him. I mean, like, he has no idea that it's Ozpin, but he'll just shoot this kid, like, with no repercussions at all. Like, I was like, okay, maybe he's not as good as, like, he's, like, it seems like he's being held hostage a little bit, and I think that's probably
because he's a dick.
Right, yeah. but it's just like, he just up and shot Oscar. It's like, okay, maybe he's not as, like, in hostage mode, just like I thought he was. He just wants to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Especially considering his like words are like, "Young man, get out of here. You shouldn't be here." You know.
What do you do?
Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't want to fight you. And then he's like, "Okay, bye, kid."
Right. Just without repercussions. Just like, all right, well, I'll just shoot you. I mean, yeah.
And how long it takes him to piece things together, like that it's Ozpin, that he hasn't had that form for very long. I'm just like, bro, you slow as fuck.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, like, he knows about Ozpin's reincarnation. Supposedly he knows about all of this. The length of time it takes him to put shit together is incredible. Did anybody else think for a split second when Ozpin's voice was heard in Oscar's head that he was talking to Leo?
Yes.
Yeah, and then I realized, oh no, he's just talking in Oscar's
Yeah,
head.
how can he, I was like, how could he hear him? Yeah,
it was when Leo didn't respond to it that I kind of went, oh, right, duh.
But, no, I get what you're saying, though. It did kind of, I got that same feeling at first, because I'm like, is he trying to, psychotically connect with him? Or like, what are you doing here?
I feel like the one thing that they haven't done very well is like signified like when Ozpin is just speaking in Oscar's head, kind of, because like even when, and maybe this is just because I can't remember his name right now, but the kid who does Oscar's voice just does such a good impression of Shannon that like sometimes it's kind of hard to tell even when he's speaking as Ozpin that it's not actually Shannon speaking. And since they both kind of have this weird reverby thing going on, it's kind of it kind of still resonates as like, okay, these are both the same thing. And I feel like they could have done a better job of like of separating when it's just a thought in Oscar's head and when it's Ozpin speaking through Oscar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it just, for a split second I was like, wait, is he, like, telepathically? Oh, no, he's just talking, he's just talking to himself.
Telepathically,
literally.
That was the word I was trying to think of earlier.
I was laughing because I saw Wade, Sam said it annoyed me how he literally said his intentions to Ozpin and then Wade puts classic villain trope in the chat. It is a classic villain trope. And also Lee is a fucking idiot, we've established that. So. But, the way he was talking, like, God, he's just such a fool. He was like, oh, you're just a boy, I can kidnap you and take you to Salem and then she'll love me forever. I'm like, have you met Salem? Like, you really think that's how this is gonna go?
You literally delivered the Spring Maiden to her on a silver platter. You were like, I know where the Spring Maiden is. And Salem was like, thank you. I'm now going to choke you out and almost kill you, but then decide not to. Like,
I know, right? She's a crazy bitch. Like, she's not gonna, he's an idiot. So, I'm a little bit concerned for Oscar at the minute. Just because of the way Leo was talking makes me seem like that's kind of where this is headed. I certainly hope not. Because while Oscar managed to kick the lion's butt, he's not going to kick Salem's butt, let me tell you that much. No. He's still a scrawny little kid, so... I don't feel the slightest bit bad for Leo, knowing what we know now, that he's been in cahoots with Salem for quite some time. He got Cinder and her trope into the Vital Festival. He essentially enabled the fall of Beacon. So
he was the clever little friend that she mentions in Volume 3.
He could well have
I think that was...
I feel like that was Watts, because they were in reference to the little computer virus that they had, which was Watts' doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was...
Yeah, because we see Watts' W symbol
it could be both.
on the scroll, which we see again later. But, yeah, Leo just... I'm putting him in the irredeemable pile, which is what I did to Ilya, and then she climbed back out. But somehow I don't think Leo's climbing out of this one.
Because it was different. You looked at his character completely differently when you were thinking he joined up with Salem because he saw the devastation from the fall of Beacon, and he's trying to save his people, and he's trying to, make it so less people die, blah, blah, blah. But, like, now knowing, he enabled the fall of Beacon, and he gave Salem the names of all the huntsmen in
and allowed
Haven.
her to slaughter them, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and just like I mean, he's a monster.
He is a monster. So many lives were lost at his hands because he enabled the enemy to kill them. He enabled the death of all of those huntsmen and huntresses. He enabled the death of Pyrrha. He enabled the death of Penny, essentially, with his actions. So, as far as I'm concerned, he can die slowly and painfully. And that's the extent of how much I care about this character. And, like, he's the cowardly lion, so we know that, like Piskian,
which is also a faunus.
The only possible redemption he could have is a noble sacrifice. But even then, I would be like, bye, Felicia. Like, I wouldn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be like, great, glad you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Did we know he was a faunus before this episode?
No, we did not.
I did.
We weren't aware.
Yeah, I was gonna.
I feel like I literally in my reaction when I saw that I went, "Oh my god, am I an idiot? Did I just never put this together?"
No, but
it's like I think that's the first time it was shown.
I did go back and have a look at previous chapters with Leo in it, and he was wearing his coat, whereas in this scene he was not wearing his coat, so his coat would have been hiding his tail before. But the fact that Leo is a faunus explains so much for me. I'm just like, okay, it makes more sense why he would be on Salem's side, because
Right.
I feel like
It's the
a
white
lot of
thing, yeah.
faunus think that the world owes them something. And I feel like that's the situation with Leo here. Also, he's just a coward, but an enabler is just as bad as the executioner. Yeah, exactly. He has enabled all of this shit to happen, all of these people to die. All of this is his fucking fault. Like, I don't care what intentions Salem had. I don't care how they would have done it without his help. The fact that he helped them do it makes him a shitty person. And
he's an accomplice to all of their crimes.
Exactly.
Like,
and
I mean, he's up there with Cinder and everybody because he may not have directly killed anybody by his own hands, but he's still an accomplice. He's their getaway driver.
To do so, exactly. Which, if anything, is probably worse. You know, any noble person would choose death before doing something like that, but not him, because he's a dick. But
because he's a coward.
he's a coward and he's a dick. But the fact that he's a faunus just makes a lot of sense to me, I think.
And also his name's Lionheart, and we're all idiots.
Yeah. We're all fucking idiots for not realizing something.
I mean, and the fact that he is a coward and the cowardly Lionheart, It just
didn't really occur to me at all.
Yeah.
And then when I saw his tail, I was like, oh my god, I'm stupid.
I know.
I'm so stupid. Why didn't I think of this sooner? But I feel like it's kind of a mentality where we don't want to be faunus blamers. So, like, we didn't want to think of Leo as a faunus just because he was a bad guy. But it does make a lot of sense. And I definitely do think that he is a bad guy now. I don't think that he's someone who's being blackmailed or someone who's conflicted or someone who's scared. I think he's just a piece of shit. And that's all there really is to it. His weapon is interesting. It's a reference to Da Vinci's painter's palette, which is really cool, but it takes fucking ages to fire that thing, yo. Like, it took him a while to select fire and then
that would be terrible in a real fight.
Oh yeah, super impractical.
If Oscar hadn't slowly walked up to him, he would have been dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. If Weiss had gone at him, his head would be on the floor by now. Like.
Yeah, I found it interesting that white dust is wind, but yeah, it created a boulder. I don't know what was going on there. But we know that white dust is wind because we've seen it used before, but...
Unless it was supposed to be like a weird sort of, okay, here is fire and we are cooling it, so it is kind of like a, earthy surface because it's cooled fire.
Fuck knows.
I don't know.
Yeah, his weapon, while it is extremely cool and very powerful, super impractical. For an actual, proper fight. And then Oscar was just like, "Pachoo, there goes your boulder." He combined fire and wind dust for that one attack. And it just took ages for him to fire it. He was like, "Phew, okay, there's my fire." And it's like getting out an old-fashioned dial telephone to call 911 in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just takes ages to do something that should not take ages.
Mm-hmm.
In this modern
Oh, send a carrier pigeon.
That probably just goes to show the generational gap, though, because like we're so used to seeing these new kids and their new weapons and stuff,
Right.
and ooh, so shiny. But then you get people like Crow's weapon isn't that impressive as like Ruby's scythe, and Ozpin's is literally a cane that he beats people with. So like,
them kids and their scythes.
He did say, though, that the cane has more surprises than it hides. In what episode was that? Like 5?
It was the last episode.
It was the last episode. It was 10.
10, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because Ruby was asking him whether it was a relic or not, and he was like, "It does pack a few more surprises, but no, it's not."
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Lost my train of thought completely. My favorite thing about this part was that it was just Oscar. It wasn't Ozpin. Like, everyone was expecting, like, oh, Ozpin's gonna take control and kick butt. But then Oscar was like, yeah, nah, bro, I'm just gonna kick your ass on my own. So I loved that about it.
Ozpin
he was so
Ozpin
good.
did defend it, though.
He
like,
did,
his
yes.
aura took over. That was Ozpin. There's no way that was Oscar.
I just wonder
Oscar's
if they both just have
to
green.
build up his aura.
Right, that could have been him, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like because Ozpin has, Oscar is Ozpin's new vessel, their souls have combined, so I feel like their auras would be the same color. That would make sense. Or perhaps, because Ozpin said that he is reincarnated in the body of a like-minded soul, so their auras could have been the same color already, which is what a part of what makes them like-minded, is that in that they have the same color aura. There's only so many colors, so obviously aura colors are repeated. We know Ruby's aura is red and Pyrrha's aura was red, so I wonder what will be in the preview in today's Ruby Rewind. I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it, but it'll probably be something Blake related.
They give away too much.
Yeah.
And I'm staying off Tom.
I plan on going over about the Ruby Rewinds after the season's over.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and rewatch them all because I'm just not watching them.
Yeah.
Prefer not to.
The only one I went back and watched was after chapter 4, and the preview they showed was like Yang about to fight all of those bandits. I was like, Jesus Christ, that is a big spoiler. Why are you showing that? But yeah, no, I don't like to watch them because they give away too much, and I will go into the episode with far too many preconceived ideas if I see that beforehand. So I don't want to do that,
right?
For obvious reasons. But yeah, so Oscar was awesome here, and I just loved watching him beat the shit out of Leo. I'm like, yes, beat that fucking lion. We finally find out Weiss's aura color. Yeah, it's a light blue. That
was kind of.
It's interesting.
Really,
that
I
it's
would have
not
thought that
white.
was...
I thought.
Oh,
I know. I figured she would have
mainly like white and blue. Like that's kind of been her color palette.
Yeah, yeah. It makes sense to me because I don't know, especially because like Ruby's aura color is like a deeper color than like her kind of usual red color, and I think it's to make it stand out more. And trying to make white stand out is just not something you can do.
But the reason I find it so interesting is because Jean's aura is white.
But I think that's kind of special. Has to do more with the semblance, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, his aura is white. We've seen it before, and we know from Pyrrha saying he has a lot of aura, and that his semblance is something very special, because they've taken so fucking long to reveal the damn thing. I feel like a person's aura color is determined a lot by how powerful their aura is, and also by how rare or powerful their semblance is as well. So the fact that Weiss's isn't white but Jean's is very interesting to me. Yeah, I feel like white is associated a lot with purity, and I feel like a white aura could be seen as one of the most powerful or one of the most pure auras, which could be related to, like, you know, his aura healed him very quickly the first time it was unlocked. Yes, Jean's aura is white. Have you been watching the show, Ruby Sakurai? Go back to volume 1. For God's sake. When Pyrrha unlocks his aura, it creates a white glow around him. Yeah, but Weiss's is light blue. So I'm going to go out on a limb and assume all of the Shnees have that same sort of color aura because they all have the same semblance. So
yeah, and it's hereditary.
Yeah, it's hereditary, yeah. Yes, it's white. Pale yellow. Where did you get that from? No, it's white. Go back and watch.
It's actually eggshell.
It's eggshell. Ew. What a
it's
shit colour. It's off-white. No, it is definitely very bright white. Go back and watch the part where Pyrrha unlocks it for him. Yeah, it's white. Yeah, so it was just interesting to me. It was that Weiss's wasn't white, but it makes a lot of sense because Jean's is. Yeah, we've gone totally out of order.
Welcome to the support group. Welcome to the support group, Lizzie.
Oh, hello, Lizzie. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Yes, we're all hurting. We're just discussing it now. You missed the talk about Weiss, but I'm sure we'll go back to it at the end.
I'm sure we'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but listen, I think the entire fandom is of the consensus that she's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Please be okay, Weiss.
I think they just try to give us as big a scare as possible.
Oh yeah.
Without, they just can't kill off a main character. I just don't see it. I hope I'm right, but I mean, I won't know until they reveal the next couple episodes, I guess. So I did want to point this out before we got too far away from it. I think the beginning of the fight was that when Raven was introduced into the fight, and they showed her, Crow shot at her, flew down, and she pulled out a portal that Cinder shot through to Ruby. I thought the whole point of Raven's portals was that she was bound to 3 people. Was that it was Tai Yang, and Crow, and that was
it was just people she was close to, and I think Vernal counts in that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Which is why I was guessing ahead.
That's why I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
because it just seemed very random that I don't know. I guess Vernal makes sense.
We know that Vernal has been missing for 10 years, so she could likely have been under Raven's wing that entire time, which would make them very close.
Yeah.
So I could see Raven having a portal directly to Vernal, and like you said, that's the only possible way she could have transported them there. So
yeah, because it was so weird that they made a point that Yang said, like, you have one to Dad, you have one to me, and one to Crow.
Yeah.
That was the thing that they wrote into the show, so it was weird that they wouldn't point out the one of Vernal, but I guess maybe Yang didn't know about that.
But of course, Yang was out of the loop as far as that was concerned, yes. Yeah,
right, yeah.
She only knew what she'd been told about Raven's semblance, so, hi, Cinder Twitch. All of the people watching the episode are coming in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting off track here. We need to go back to the start. So, yeah, Raven's, I hate Raven. I mean, I've said that so many times, but, like, everything she does makes me hate her even more.
Do you hate her as a villain or just as a character?
I hate her as a person. I think she's a piece of shit.
Form.
I think she's a bigger piece of shit than Leo. I mean, for God's sake, she's the leader of a bandit tribe that literally kills people all the time. And then she goes and screws her brother over like this. She doesn't give a shit about her daughter and hasn't done for her entire life. She's just a piece of shit. I don't like her, and I want her to die.
You sound angry.
I am angry. I'm angry because she's so shitty. And I'm like, I just don't care about this character, and I haven't cared about her for some time.
I used to like Raven a lot because she was such a character surrounded in mystery, and she seems so powerful and stuff. But the more that we learn about her, the more just contradictory she is, and it's just there's just no way. I just don't understand. Like, I'm like, you think this, you know, like you want to be away from all of this stuff, and yet you harbor the spring maiden, and like there's just so much about her that just doesn't make sense. And I feel like they've had more than enough opportunities to try and like solidify her goals a little bit more, or even just try to like leave some more vague goals in mind, whereas she just seems kind of like, oh well, I only care about my bandit tribe. But then she also then goes on and is like, but I don't want part of this war that'll get all my people killed, which is why I left, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like...
She contradicts herself.
I don't get her.
Her motivations don't make any sense. Her plans don't make any sense. She doesn't make any sense. I'm like, what does she want? Why is she here? What is her purpose? She used to be so shrouded in mystery that she was intriguing, but now I'm just like, she is so one-dimensional, I'm just done. She's one-dimensional in the fact that she just is looking out for herself and maybe Vernal, and that's it. But she's looking out for Vernal because she's looking out for herself. And like,
she
doesn't want to be involved, but she harbors a maiden, and then she gets involved, and I'm like, what are you doing? You don't make any sense. Do you realize what an idiot you're being right now? And then screwing Crow over is just crossing the line for me. Like you said, you know, we're not family anymore, bitch. Fuck you. Cinder Twitch, I disagree wholeheartedly about the animation in the episode being subpar. Did you see the Weiss fight?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic.
Holy fuck.
There were a few shots that I thought were kind of
there were a few
below
average. A few janky shots.
But I think overall...
The good outweighed the bad.
The one that immediately comes to mind is Raven going down the stairs. God, that was janky. It looked weird. When she was coming down the stairs when we first saw her, it was very jerky, the animation. I'm not sure what was going on there. But some things obviously have to be sacrificed for the quality of other things. But the Weiss fighting Vernal stuff was excellent. Really, really excellent. Seeing her use her glyphs like that in such an open space is something we don't get treated to very often. We saw it a bit in the character short, but beyond that, we haven't
I was gonna say it's very similar to that
since the white trailer way back when. And it was just awesome to see her jumping around like that and really utilizing her glyphs to move her around the battlefield. The only thing that was her shortfall, obviously, was trying to summon her knight, because I felt like she felt as though she needed him when she probably didn't, and trying to summon him just got her hurt in the end, because she didn't pick her moments very well, and also Vernal was aware that she could do that, so she was trying to do everything she could to stop her from doing that.
Vernal had seen what she could do with this thing, and she telegraphed it so obviously with, you know, the ice wall, and then like she kept pushing Vernal away, and then, you know, like take a second to and then it's like you're not combat ready.
It goes all the way back to Volume 4, Cory, when we first saw her successfully summon the entire night. You were like, she uses so much concentration and it takes so long, it would not be practical in a battle scenario. And that's exactly what's come to fruition here, is that it was not practical in a battle scenario where she was facing an opponent who was better than her.
Right.
And that was essentially the whole problem, is that Vernal was better than her. Raven kicking Crow, I didn't think that was too bad. That whole little bit was kind of janky, but it could have been worse.
Yeah. It could have been worse. It was also still kind of... It had parts of it where she was like... Their tiny little fight. Well, some of it looked really nice, but then some of it was like, okay, we got to get them out of the shot. So, like, they got to kind of move a bunch.
Yeah, we need them out of there quickly. Yeah, a lot of people had problems with the pacing of this episode, but I think it's nice that they picked up the pace here, because it needs to be picked up. We've got 3 chapters left.
The pacing of this episode?
Yeah,
I thought the pacing of this episode was excellent.
They rushed this episode. I'm like, no.
Oh, I didn't think that at all.
It did not feel rushed at all. It felt appropriate.
It was really good pacing, and the only thing that I thought was a little bit off was, and this is probably hard for the animation department to do, but all of the fights were separated. Like, at no point did you ever see two fights on the screen at once. It was all like, this is one fight, and now cut to this one fight, and now cut to this one fight. You could never see anything else, which I think that's probably maybe that's hard for the animation team to do, but
yeah,
I feel like what they're doing is that well, first of all, they were ambushed, they were totally taken by surprise, and then one by one they started going off on their own 1v1 sort of things. The only one that's not 1v1 is Nora and Ren versus Hazel. But I feel like what they're setting up for here is a possible entry of Blake in the next chapter. I feel like I saw a comment somewhere, I don't remember where it was, I think it was on roosterteeth.com. Someone was saying they think that Blake is gonna just like kick the door down and bring in her small army of Fortis and be like, "Ha!" and just go in there. But yeah,
I don't think so, just because Blake and her forces are going to be there to deal with the White Fang.
Yes,
and the White Fang need dealing with. So I think
like
eventually Blake will end up in the school, but I think that there's going to be a bigger thing with the White Fang outside that has to happen first.
I think that most, if not all, of Blake's small army of Fortis will be dealing with the White Fang, but I do think it's entirely possible that her and Sun will just like kick the door down and be like, "Hey bros, what's up?" and then realize the piece of shit situation that they're currently in. The reason I think that is the intro. With the intro, we know that the arena that they were all fighting their various characters in is this set. It looks basically the same, and that last shot of Team Ruby charging at Salem together makes me think that at some point in this set we're going to have Team Ruby fighting as one. So I feel like obviously there's a lot that has to happen before that. But obviously what they're doing right now, the 1v1 thing, is not working, and they have to realize that sooner or later they need to fight as a team or they're not going to win. So
yeah, that was one of my biggest issue with this episode, was that Ruby had this big speech about we're stronger together, we're blah blah blah, work with us, blah blah blah. And then proceeds to, okay, I'm going to go fight this one, and you're going to go fight that one, and you're going to go fight that one.
Yeah.
And you you literally just talked about how your strength is together against these people, and then proceed to not work together.
Yeah, I feel like the enemy also was deliberately segregating them because they are formidable when they fight together. But individually, they know that they're not strong enough to
Well, I will say with that, Ruby did try to go help Jean, but Emerald stopped
her. Yeah, exactly.
So Ruby wanted to fight her. I think, yeah, you're right. They were segregating them on purpose.
Yeah. Emerald stopped Ruby from helping Jean, and of course Jean started it off by charging at fucking Cinder. I still can't believe
that was the biggest surprise.
Yeah, I got to talk about Jean's bit in this episode because Miles' voice acting was phenomenal for one thing.
Oh yeah.
But the things that he was saying, like, how can you be so broken inside, and like to take so many lives and then rub it in our faces like it's something to be proud of, or with that damn smile on your face, and I'm just like, holy hell, because Jean is not really a person we see lose his temper that often, especially during fights. He manages to keep quite collected. The Knuckler V fight is a good example. He was like, strategizing, and like when Ren was going a bit ballistic, he was like, "Ren, what are you doing? Knock it off." And he was making sure that he was staying collected, but he was not. He was the opposite of collected here, because, and I feel like this is obvious, but here is the woman who killed Pyrrha, and she's standing there and she's rubbing it in his face. And then what Cinder said, her line was perfect. She said, "Who are you again?" And that is just like, oh, bitch, hell no! I'ma kill you! But, like, obviously...
That was a good combination of a really well-delivered line and a little bit of Rooster Teeth's humor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just like,
yeah, he's all like, "You bitch, I hate you," and she's just like, "Who are you again?"
Yeah,
what?
that was the perfect thing for her to say right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, this is the woman that killed Pyrrha. That's all Jean is focusing on right now. He hasn't really had a chance to vent his anger about the whole situation. He kind of did towards Crow last volume, but not really. He's, you know, he was saying, like, you forced this on Pyrrha, and basically...
He's been holding it in.
Without saying it in so many words, he's saying Pyrrha is dead because of you. And, but now here's the woman who actually physically ended her life. And, she's just taunting him. And he's like, oh, bitch, hell no. This is going down right now. I don't even care if I get killed, you know.
Yeah,
just like he says, if he dies buying them time, then it's worth it.
It honestly felt like in that scene he wanted to die. Like,
yeah, it was a suicide mission for sure.
Like he was literally like I mean, he literally said, "I don't matter." Like, like, I mean, those are some heavy words.
I feel like he's really about to matter. As far as Weiss's situation is concerned, he's really about to be very important. And I feel like he underestimates his worth as well, which is kind of sad, but, you know, that's Jean for you. And, yeah, he's just... poor Jean, he's having a rough time right now. I feel for him.
Yeah.
And, like...
But we knew
hope
this
he doesn't
coming
like...
the second he saw Cinder.
Let's just hope he doesn't like any of the other Ruby girls, okay? Let's just hope he doesn't like any of the other ones, because every girl he likes.
Yeah, I know, and, like... inadvertently, through him saying they're the ones who matter, Weiss then gets hurt because Cinder's like, oh, you think they matter more than you? Alright, I'll go kill them first, you know, kind of thing. And this has happened before where people have got hurt because of Jean's either action or lack of action or what he says. Like, when he was supposed to be standing guard against Cinder in Chapter 11 of Volume 3. Had to think for a minute which volume it was. And he turns around because Pyrrha's in pain, and then because of that, the Four Maiden was killed, and, you know, all of that sort of domino effect happened. But, you know, it was an honest mistake, and I feel like what he does here is also another honest mistake. I feel like people give Jean too much shit. And...
especially for, I mean... at this point, he is a fighter, but, like, back then, he really wasn't. Like, these people had combat instincts, and he didn't. And now, I mean, it is sort of a thing where he hasn't dealt with his trauma, and it's been, like, just, you know, like 9 months of just festering. Yeah. And he sees the person who killed the girl he loved, and he's suddenly just like, yep, I have to remove her head from her body.
Here is the woman who killed Pyrrha, a girl who I loved, a girl who loved me. You're going down. And, like, that's his entire focus. John falls in love with Salem. Jesus! Actually, she might end up dying, so that would be... Yeah,
that's what they're saying, is John falls in love with Salem, and then Salem dies.
Yeah,
that's what everyone that John falls in love with, they die. So that's his power. He has the power of love killing.
John's gonna be beating himself up over this shit, man. He's gotta be, like, internally just cursing his every action and word when shit like this happens. And, like... he's gotta be feeling guilty as hell, which is why I think people need to give him a fucking break. Bro, he's human, for God's sake. And we know he's a bit of a dimwit. Like, he says and does shit that he probably shouldn't. But, you know, his intentions are the best of intentions. His heart is in the right place, and he genuinely cares about protecting the people that he cares about. Which is why I feel like he's going to be essential in saving Weiss's life here.
Right. And in my opinion, one of the reasons why Jean's semblance hasn't been revealed yet, it leads me to believe that it is some kind of healing or some kind of restoration ability or something like that, is none of the story has really called for him to use it at all since, you know, yet. You know, like, he wasn't with Pyrrha when that happened to her, and, like, Yang, he had already left when Yang got hurt. You know, yet he was he was off somewhere else. He hasn't been around when anybody has been like massively injured, and there's been really no other call for him to heal anybody. So also, now there's going to be a call for him to do it.
Also, like, Yang isn't somebody he would feel as strongly about as he felt about Pyrrha and as he feels about Weiss. He definitely feels more strongly about Weiss than he would about Yang. So I feel like this is going to be the push that he needs to unlock whatever it is within him that could help him save her life.
Especially because of all the talk about semblance at the start of the season and how extreme situations. I mean, Jean's feeling a lot of very intense things right now, so I'm positive. Like, I mean, he's basically just been struck by lightning. Like, give him his semblance.
Yeah, essentially, in his mind, he's just watched Weiss die, and that's gotta hurt. Like, he didn't watch Pyrrha die. The last time he saw her, he knew that she was going to her death, but he only heard about her death. It wasn't a thing that he witnessed. Whereas witnessing one of your friends maimed like that has got to be fucking traumatizing. So I feel like it's going to take him a minute to process what's just happened, but yeah, it's definitely a situation where this would be the push that he needed. So I feel like we're getting out of sequence again. I can't even remember most of what happened in this episode, aside from that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something else that I wanted to say about. What do you guys think about the theory that Blake arrived just before Weiss got stabbed, and that the Weiss that was stabbed was a Blake clone?
I think that's wishful thinking.
I think it's wishful thinking too.
That is so fucking wishful thinking. No, definitely that is not the case at all.
Well, yeah, I've never seen can Blake can't make clones of other people's. You can only just make clones of herself.
Yeah, they're called clones for a reason.
But there was the whole talk about when the Blake in chapter 11 of volume 3 went in front of Yang to protect Yang, and then got head chopped off, and then suddenly she's running with Yang in the background. So people are like, did she make a clone of her and Yang?
I feel like that was bad directing more than anything.
No, honestly, I've seen it always as that Blake's like cloning ability is almost like a transport kind of ability, where she appears in one spot and then suddenly all of her being and everything that she's doing is in another spot. And so at that moment she was holding Yang, so that clone was created, and then she was off in the other spot with Yang because she was holding her. And that's kind of the way I've seen it.
Yeah, Pisky, and it's not an Emerald hallucination either, because that would make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, why would him?
Yeah, Blake clone is definitely wishful thinking. Yeah, no, the thing with Volume 3 with Yang, I feel like that was bad scene direction more than anything. In that Yang is over here and then suddenly she's carrying her out of the room. I've always thought that was a bit weird. And I'm just like, how did she get her across the room so quickly when she's injured? And like, it just never made any sense to me. But yeah, no, it's not to do with Emerald. It's not to do with Neo, for God's sake. It's not to do with Blake. Blake's just not there at this point in time, but she could be soon.
Yeah. It makes too much sense for just also the way that the show works. Like, I mean, it makes sense that was actually Weiss.
Yeah.
Especially because like Emerald would have had to have communicated this desire to do this with Cinder and Vernal, because like Vernal would have had to have gotten Weiss out of there basically to can't let real Weiss be doing anything.
Right, so, and that's kind of like the same thing where we were like the dream sequence where it's like, oh, well, like it was all a dream. That the fact that it's not really Weiss would be a cop out, and the same kind of thing. Just like it should be her.
Yeah.
Then.
We don't want them to cop out here because they have given us such a shock and put us through watching that happen. If they cop out now, I might be pissed, but they won't do it.
Yeah.
Because
I'd rather
they know how
this.
significant of an event this is. To do this is a huge thing, and they're aware of that.
Yeah, they could have easily copped out with like Pyrrha, but they didn't because
they didn't.
So I mean, I just it doesn't seem really like Rishi's style to do that. So I don't think that's gonna happen.
And the thing with Pyrrha was, not only did she die, but Cinder like eviscerated her, and she became the wind essentially, and
she's dead. Let me make sure that we show her she's dead.
Yeah, and like they've said on panels before, they've said Pyrrha is gone, like she's no more, she's not a thing, but that doesn't mean that she's void from the story. Like we saw her in Volume 4 on Jean's scroll, and we heard her in Ruby's dreams, and she's still gonna be there, but physically she's gone. She doesn't exist anymore. But of course she still is. She lives within the memory of those that knew her. So yeah.
In that same sense, if Jean's ability is something to do with like resurrection in some way, like Weiss happens to die and Jean resurrects her here, would it be would anybody be mad or not that like maybe he brought Pyrrha back? I don't know that they'll do that. I just
don't see how.
Yeah, because it could be a thing where, I mean, especially because Aura is so connected to like the soul and stuff, and like the soul needs a vessel. So like it would come down to a thing where probably like that could almost explain why they eviscerated Pyrrha, is like they turned her to dust because they're like,
there's no body left.
There's no body left. Like Weiss will still have her body if she dies from this, but Pyrrha gone.
Pyrrha gone. Pyrrha exists no more. Yes. So I can't believe that people are still wishing like, oh, maybe Pyrrha will come back. No, Pyrrha is gone.
I don't want
guys. Let her go. The sooner we all let her go, the sooner we can all move on, okay? Because, it's been 2 years.
Let's not do it with Weiss, though.
Like, over it. So...
Yeah. In retrospect, it makes so much sense that Pyrrha died. Because she was so overpowered and she was so pure and everything. Like, she was such a Mary Sue character that, like, of course she was going to die. Like... Yeah. You can't keep that around in a show where you want there to be, like, real stakes.
She had to be the noble sacrifice, and her death served a purpose. Whereas here, Weiss's death won't serve a purpose. But her almost death will serve a purpose for Jean, I feel like. I feel like they're not going to kill or injure characters unless it serves a purpose. So, like Penny's death also served a purpose. And, yeah, Weiss is going to be no exception here.
Plus, also, I kind of think Weiss could use a little bit of a wake-up call. Because, like, I mean, Ruby has been fairly hurt in battles before. I mean, Blake's been really hurt in battles before. Yang's been really hurt in battles before. But, like, Weiss hasn't, and this could be a good wake-up call for Weiss that, like,
Weiss has been knocked out a lot, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Weiss definitely knows that she's not invincible, and that I feel like her aura also isn't as strong as others, but her semblance is so overpowered that it kind of negates the fact that her aura isn't that strong. But here she's facing an opponent who has decades, or at least 1 decade of experience over her. And she's a maiden, of course. She's super powerful, but even without her maiden powers, she kicked Weiss's ass. And, like, we know that Weiss is capable. But, of course, she's
I think Maiden used her powers at some point, though, to wipe out, like, that wall, the ice wall. I think that...
I think that was
just her weapon.
Yeah, I think it was her weapons. They fired, like, she just fired a laser. Because the way that it looked like 2 beams, kind of. And she's got her
like
2
a red
weapons.
Beam, though. I thought it was a red beam, and then her weapon was like a yellow beam, and that's why I thought it was different.
I thought it was kind of an orangey color, yeah, because we saw it again when she takes Weiss's aura down. It's the same sort of lasery sort of stuff coming out of her weapon, and Raven says to her, Raven says, "Take out the arrows, but don't waste your power. She's not worth it." Now, those words to me were interesting. Don't waste your power. Mm-hmm. Are the maiden's powers finite? Is the question.
Yeah. I still can't help but wonder if it isn't still tied to aura in some way.
It could be.
But then again, I guess we saw Amber use her powers after her aura had gone down.
Yeah. But it's a question of, like, is the maiden's power finite in the sense that they only have so much altogether, or does it need to be recharged much like an aura does? So they can only use so much at once before it's kind of depleted. Because her words were interesting. Don't waste your power. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's more. I think that was more or less like Raven saying, "She's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't need to use your power for her."
William, you're incorrect about that. He says Penny's death served a purpose. It woke up the Silverite abilities in Ruby because Pyrrha wouldn't do that for Ruby. Yes, she would.
Yeah, especially because she died right in front of her eyes.
Ruby's the kind of person where she cares about everybody equally. You know, if it was any of her friends, if it was Nora, if it was Ren that had been killed right in front of her, would have had the same effect. Just because it was Pyrrha...
It had been Glinda.
Maybe not Glinda, but... you know, all of her friends are equal in her eyes. She's the kind of person who has to protect everybody. And that's just in her nature. And Pyrrha absolutely was enough to do that for her. She witnessed a friend die right before her eyes. That's a traumatizing thing.
Not only that, but like literally it was the flashback when we saw Ruby's silver eyes activate this.
Exactly.
It was a flashback to Pyrrha.
To Pyrrha's death. So how could you think that it wasn't significant enough? I don't understand that. But William hasn't seen the episode, that's why. But when Ruby's you need to stop watching the podcast without seeing the episode, bro. You need to watch it first. Get a Rooster Teeth account. Jesus Christ. What was I saying? In this episode, when Ruby's silver eyes are activated for a second time, she has a flashback to Pyrrha's death. And that's what first awoke her power, and that's what awoke her power again now, because she saw that Cinder was about to kill Jean, and she was like, she couldn't deal with seeing that again. You know, it obviously traumatized her. She dreamt about it a lot in Volume 4, and like it's something that weighs on her. And I feel like it probably weighs on her too, because she knows she got there just too late. Like, if she'd been a little bit sooner, maybe she could have done something. But, you know, she was just a fraction too late. And that's gotta hurt. So, but of course Pyrrha's death served that purpose of awakening that power in Ruby. And I found it interesting that she was able to use it here without it totally annihilating her. Until Emerald took care of that.
I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, we don't really know if it did or not because Emerald interrupted her and she was knocked out. So it was like,
yeah,
you know, we kind of don't know exactly what doing that did to Ruby yet. Granted, I don't think it's gonna be as bad, especially because she got interrupted. But yeah,
yes.
What is William saying?
It was so easy for CEM to beat Amber. I wouldn't have called that easy.
I mean, she almost killed Emerald and Mercury.
Yeah, she would have.
If it hadn't been for the fact that like Cinder was literally hiding like a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking Cinder. Amber put up a very, very decent fight against the three of them. Yeah, I've lost my train of thought again. I keep forgetting what it is we're supposed to be talking about because we're jumping all over the place. But
we are jumping all over the place, but we just have to talk.
I know, we just have to talk about things. I feel like we've covered most of it in bits and pieces, but you have an RT account, you just don't give a shit. Well, that's your problem, but you know, comments like that when you haven't seen the episode, which answers your question. What do you want me to do? Like, go watch the episode. It literally answers that question. In that, yes, it was Pyrrha that had that effect on Ruby. God, I just keep losing my train of thought. Cory, is there anything we haven't covered here?
Yeah, I'm running through my notes right now. I kind of wanted to talk about the line Raven said, where she said, "You sound just like your mother."
Yes.
And the look on her face was almost kind of, it was like a weird, it was a weird like contradiction where she both looked like she hated that she was just like her mother, but also was kind of like happy, sort of, in a weird way. I don't know
if happy's the right word, but I know what you mean.
Or like maybe just reminiscent. I don't know, like
you sound there was exactly something like your mother. Yeah, her expression and her tone were kind of didn't really match. Yeah. Obviously there's some amount of disdain there for Summer. Yeah, it's interesting because we don't hear a lot of talk about Summer Rose.
Yeah, we don't really know too much about the relationship between Raven and Summer because obviously, Taeyang had a child with both of them.
Obviously, Raven kind of felt that Summer was maybe naive and a bit foolish, perhaps, and which I could see her seeing the same about Ruby here because Ruby is quite naive, but she's not an idiot. But she is still going to try her best to, unite everybody against this formidable force. But, and I feel like Ruby also doesn't really want to think about the fact that there are people in the world that are just that shitty. She wants to try and see the potential for the best in everybody. But sometimes it's just not the case. I feel like she wants to give people the benefit of the doubt, which is what she does for Raven here. She's like, you don't have to do this and you don't have to be this. You can join us, kind of thing. And then Raven's like, nah, pass.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Raven's coldness angers me. She's just so cold towards people that are supposed to be her family. And, like, towards people that don't deserve it, is the thing that irks me. Yeah, she's just such a...
Well, she has a very twisted view of that word.
Yeah. Family. She's just such a see you next Tuesday. Like, I have no other word for her. She's just... She's just awful. And I really just want her to die. I'm just over it. I'm over Raven. She's so contradictory and... I'm just over her. Like, she's just such a piece of crap. But, yeah.
So, do you like Raven?
Tell us how you really feel. I've made my feelings abundantly clear. I feel like I repeat myself every single podcast. I hate Raven. If you guys weren't aware of it yet, I hate Raven.
Really? I'd never heard.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
No information.
Yeah, we need to know more about Summer, but obviously they're withholding that information for a reason. And they will get to it when they want us to know about it. We will know about it, and no sooner.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to be something we will be getting next season because I don't think that that Summer is going to be too connected to Ruby's journey with her silver eyes, and they just can't put off Ruby's silver eyes much longer, especially after the display in this episode and the fact that, it's something to do with like the maidens, and they're going to have to start doing something with Ruby and her silver eyes and next season, and they're going to have to, and that's going to involve her mom.
Oh yeah. I really hope they bring in Summer at some point soon, because Summer's been honestly the most intriguing character to me. That just like I want to know more about her. We've seen nothing from Summer except just a picture, basically.
Yeah.
And stories, just and a grave.
I mean, we know from Raven's words here that obviously Ruby's very similar to her mother,
right?
Which kind of gives us an idea of what Summer was like, because we know what Ruby's like. But again, we still need to know more. Like, we need to know, how did she die? Like, what is with the kind of tension between Tai Yang and Crow? Does it have anything to do with Summer? What was Raven and Summer's relationship like? What was Tai and Summer's relationship like? Like, there are too many questions. We need to know. Summer is the only.
We need a Team
element.
Stark miniseries.
Summer is the only missing element now. We know Tai, we know Crow, we know Raven, and we know essentially their relationships and their interactions with each other. But the only one we don't know anything about is Summer, and I need to know more. Really, I don't think I'm understanding. Do you like Raven or no? No! She's shit. I don't like her.
I'm gonna have to get that in writing.
We did notice that the Silver Eyes affected
That was literally
Cinder.
what I was about to bring up
next.
next.
We need to talk about that. So when Ruby used the Silver Eyes...
Hi, Larissa.
Hey, Larissa.
Hey, Lisa. I want to know more about Summer. Yes, everybody wants to know more about Summer. So when Ruby used the Silver Eyes, Cinder grabbed her arm, which kind of calls back to our theory about why she wears that long sleeve, that perhaps her arm was injured in some form or another, along with her left eye. So I found it interesting.
She hurt her left side.
Yeah, I found it interesting she grabbed her left arm there. And that it had that kind of effect on her.
I was literally about to say that too, Pisky, and I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the glove. Because she lost the one eye, and pretty sure that was the hand that she used the glove with.
No, it was her other hand. It was her right
left hand. I'm pretty sure
it was her right.
It was?
Let's look this up. Look it up quickly. I think it was her right, but it may have been her left.
I have it on ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, Silver Eyes was said to be strong against Grimm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but that was the thing I really wanted to know, is I was like, okay, Vernal was also in this room when this happened. What was Vernal's, effect from this Silver Eyes-ness?
It was her right hand. It was her left hand.
It was her right hand?
Her right hand. Yes, it was her right hand.
Yeah, it was her right hand.
But she was clutching her left, so...
Yeah, there goes that.
Yeah.
But, I would be intrigued to see the extent of Cinder's injuries to her left arm, because now we kind of know that it was injured in some way, and it explains why she wears the dumbass long fucking sleeve. So
yeah, that design this year is weird.
Yeah, it's very strange, but
I can't help but wonder if the Silver Eyes isn't actually a thing against maidens and just against how Cinder obtained her powers, basically.
Well, we know
just because
Silver Eyes are said to be powerful against Grimm, for striking Grimm down, but beyond that, we don't know what exactly they do. So
yeah. I'm just thinking that I don't think it affected Vernal because of the shot where it looked like Weiss was thrown by somebody, and that was fairly shortly after Ruby had used her Silver Eyes. So if Vernal had been affected, would she have really been able to throw Weiss around?
And to be fair, Cinder had been injured by the Silver Eyes before, whereas Vernal hadn't. So there was that kind of connection there. I want to also talk about when Jean strikes Cinder's black mask thingy on her face. He chips a piece of it off. Plate. So what do we think that is exactly? And what do we think is underneath it? Is an even better question. Is she all scarred on that side of her face, or is that just a reconstructed part of her face, or? Well,
because you can see the opening where her eye is. It's just basically blackness there.
Used to be, yes. Yeah. So I found it interesting that they really focused on that. He took a chunk out of that, whatever that thing is.
I personally didn't feel like that they were showing that he took a chunk out of it, and more of very much showing Ruby took Cinder's eye. I felt like it was more focused on the fact that there's no eye here, and less to do with the fact that he chipped the mask.
See, I felt the shot was more focused on the chipping of the mask itself, and I'm not sure the significance of that at this stage. You'll post a screen cap in the Discord later. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I would say that she's scarred underneath there. I would say her entire left arm is probably scarred as well.
Probably.
The eyes enveloped the whole room, and she was slightly closer than Cinder. Oh, Vanal was, yeah. But Vanal hadn't been hit with that before. And also, I don't think Ruby got to, like, properly use it. I feel like she was building it up, but then Emerald interrupted her by knocking her out. So, yeah, that'd be great if Salem was bullshitting. Yeah, so it's all very interesting. A lot of focusing on a lot of different small details here. And there was just a lot going on in this episode. There's just a lot going on between back and forth of different characters and Weiss and Oscar and Leo and Raven and Crow, and there was a lot going on. So one thing I wanted to mention was when we see Nora and Ren fighting Hazel, they use the same animation from the intro, but from a different angle, from behind instead of from in front. But it was the exact same animation. I definitely noticed that.
Yeah, I know, that was really neat, interesting, because I was like, that is a title sequence.
Because it was a good way of reusing animation that they've already done, but they changed the angle, which made it look really interesting, because we'd seen it from the other side, but we hadn't seen it from that side. And it creates this interesting parallel between the intro and the events that are occurring, making it seem the same but different at the same time. It's a radial effect. It's known not to be based on what Ruby sees, since Kevin the Dragon wasn't in Ruby's vision. What are you talking about, Ruby's vision?
Like eyesight, not vision.
Oh,
like,
I see. Vision, right, yeah. Eyesight. Yeah, no, but the dragon was affected, yeah. See you, William. Yeah, I'll see you for Labaronia. Yeah, so, I mean, we don't know enough about the Silver Eyes to say for certainty exactly what they do and what effect they have. We need to know more. That also means we've seen every shot from the intro except the last charge. No, not really. I don't know if Yang and Mercury's animation was the same. Again,
no, it was.
I think it was, but it was the angle that was throwing me off.
Yeah.
Nora and Ren's was obvious, but I felt like Yang's and Mercury's wasn't as obvious because it was such a radically different angle from the intro. But yeah, I think it was the same animation, but it was throwing me off because I was like, the angle was so radically different. But it's a good way of saving time as well, because we don't want them to be animating shit they don't necessarily have to. We don't want them to be wasting time, on just these tiny shots that bear really no significance at all. To reuse the animation from the intro but change the angle is a very smart thing to do, and it's creating this parallel, saying that this is the event that the intro was referencing. This is what was happening there, and this is why this was in the intro, kind of thing. To use the same animation, and it saves them time as well. They don't have to animate those shots because they're already done, because they did them for the intro.
Because, I mean, in Volume 4, there was really only one part of the intro that was never in the story at all.
Yeah.
And that was Blake versus Adam.
Yes.
And
that was the only thing that didn't occur in the volume. Yeah. So far, is there anything that was in the intro that hasn't occurred in the volume? At this point? Only the Team Ruby charge. That's the only thing that hasn't occurred. I think.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, because I was about to say there was that shot of during I Won't Die, but I was like, well, but Blake and Son were there.
Yeah, I mean they've spent the whole volume in Menagerie so far. So, see you, Larissa. Have fun at work. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Am I the only one that was disappointed that Weiss wasn't fighting Emerald? Considering we had volumes 2 and 3 always teased a Weiss versus Emerald fight.
I've said this
and then
before,
they finally
but
have
I feel like that was just like, oh, we need Weiss to be fighting somebody. Here's Emerald, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they never have confronted each other, really. Oh, I want to talk about Emerald, because Ruby says to her, you know, why are you doing this? Like, and Emerald says, I don't care about Salem, but I owe Cinder everything. And that's essentially the extent of her involvement in all of this. And I wonder if she couldn't be persuaded otherwise. It's just a thought, but she did stand there and watch Cinder throw a spear at Weiss. So I'm like, maybe not. But
I mean, what happens with Emerald if Cinder's gone?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
what if Cinder was to die? What would happen to Emerald then? It's kind of like the same question as with Torchwick. Torchwick was killed, and now what happens to Neo? Like, we still haven't seen her. She's definitely going to be back because they've more or less said she's coming back. So, and to do away with a character like that was so interesting, would be silly. So she will be back, but it's just a question of when the time is right. I still stick to the theory that she'll be in the post-credits. I don't see any reason... I haven't seen anything yet that's going to make me think otherwise. But, like, again, we still have 3 chapters left. So...
Which is insane.
Yes. I know, it is insane. Oh, my God.
Chapter 12 I'm just
it's going to be
I think the fall of Haven will end at the end of chapter 13, and that 14 will all be wrap up.
Do you think
so? To whatever happened. I kind of feel so, especially with how quick this episode moved. Where I was
very
just
fast. But now,
I was just kind of like, oh wow, a lot happened.
Now, because of this chapter, we have the Weiss situation to deal with. And Blake still isn't there yet. Like, there's still a lot to get through. We've still got all the relic stuff with Vernal and all of that. We've still got the Crow versus Raven element. We've still got Lionheart has a lot of fucking shit to answer for. We've still got the Ozpin element. You know, there's still a lot to, like, get through. And we said this when it was at the Fall of Beacon, when it started at the end of chapter 9. We were like, how are they going to drag this out over 3 chapters? And then by the time we got to the end of chapter 11, we were like, how are they going to finish this up in time? Like, how are they going to wrap this up in one more chapter? But again,
well, didn't they have Blake? Wasn't Blake's timeline like a month behind?
2 weeks behind.
Didn't they say
time we left her?
2 weeks behind? So, like, literally, the fight between Ilya and Blake might have already happened like 2 weeks before this little fight happened.
Yes.
And she might have been on the way there for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. So there might not be like a journey from Blake being in Menagerie.
I feel like the next time we see her, she's going to be busting in the door at Haven, being like, yo, what up? Oh shit, Weiss is on the floor. Crap, this isn't good. And I also feel like, I wanted to talk about this because I feel like what's happened with Weiss here is going to change the dynamic of Blake reuniting with her team. Because Weiss has been mortally wounded. If Blake rocks up now, there's going to be no time for Yang to be angry with her, or, you know, there's going to be no time for any of that until they deal with Weiss's current situation. And then all of that stuff will come afterwards.
I always felt like that was how it would be, though, because I always knew Blake would arrive, like, during the fall. Like, I always knew Blake would, like, arrive during the fall of Beacon. Or Fall of Haven. And so I always felt like they will be in combat. They'll be like, oh my god, Blake, wait, fighting. And then they will just have enough time to acknowledge her, but they won't have time to do anything, and it won't be until after the fight, everything's calmed down, they're back at the house, or whatever, that they can then be like, what the fuck?
What the hell, bitch? Piskin, that's a good point. Adam is outside. And Blake's son and Ilya are probably about to rock up at Haven Academy. So the question is, will Blake's son and Ilya go straight to the conflict that's happening in the hall, or will they be stopped by Adam first? That concerns me. Because if Adam gets involved in this, I'm scared for Son's life.
That's what that was just kind of what I was saying earlier, is that, like, they have to deal with the White Fang situation, because right now the people inside are dealing with the Salem relic situation, but nobody's dealing with the White Fang. And I feel like that's where Blake and them all have to come in, is because they have to deal with that situation. They have to save the CCT. They have to deal with Adam and the White Fang. And so, like, that's why I'm like, Blake won't show up and probably until, like, they're heading to stop at the relic, whatever's happening at the relic or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And Blake, like Theoden just said, Blake isn't aware that that everyone else is there. She doesn't know that they're there. So, yeah, and I'm not that worried for Ilya. Like, if she dies, whatever. But I don't think she's going to now, just because of previous events. I feel like if anyone's biting the bullet, it's Sun here. Because it's obviously not going to be Blake. But, and I don't think it will be Ilya. So, yeah, Adam is another element here that concerns me.
I know, I still think, I don't know, I feel slightly less this way now, but I still kind of feel like Ilya's might not survive the volume.
Blake's parents have not stayed in Menagerie, Ruby. Sakurai, they're coming with her. And that's worrying as well. It's very concerning. I just got a text message, sorry.
There's so much badness that's going to happen in the next episode. And I think it's going to be mostly Blake too, which is so frustrating. Yeah. Because I'm going to be like, it's going to be like all Blake, and then like we're going to get some of the badness in the hall.
I feel like the episode could very well likely start with Blake and company arriving at Haven, and then go back to the situation with Weiss. Or it could just start where this one left off. But I don't think so, because they haven't really done that yet the entire volume, so I don't see them doing that. Mama Cat Carly, you better be unlocking your aura off screen now.
And if we've seen anything, that Carly can defend herself, even with a trait.
Carly's fine. You watch her die now that I've said that.
Yeah. Literally everybody is marked for death except the main 4 right now. Well, I mean, and even then, Weiss is a little bit like for me right now.
I'm worried about Crow than I am about Weiss right now. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm concerned about Crow as well. Although it will be nice to see not only Crow in action again, because we haven't had that since Volume 4, Chapter 7, but to see Raven in action again will be nice, because she hasn't been in action since Volume 2, Chapter 11. So... yeah. Oh, another thing. What, Piskin?
This is going to be bad.
What now? Yeah, so the Adam element, oh god, I'm so afraid about the Adam, because we know how scary he is. He's scary as hell. We know what he can do. Oh, I just realized too, Yang's inside, Adam's outside. Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel, I don't know. I don't know that we're going to see confrontation there.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be really anything. There might be.
Maybe. But I doubt it.
So the one character we actually really don't know a whole ton about that even Ozpin is scared about is Hazel. Because Ozpin didn't wink like a bit when everybody else came through the portal. When he saw Hazel, he was like, "Oh no!" Like there's he knows something about Hazel. That Hazel's a very mysterious character to me.
Yeah, good point, Whiskey. And Crow's bad luck is factoring in. I feel like it's a proximity-based thing, but I don't feel like he's the reason Weiss got hurt here. Because he wasn't anywhere near her when it actually happened.
Yeah.
But when he was close to people, they were getting knocked down, and I feel like that could have something to do with his bad luck, but I feel like not as much as you might think. Raven, yeah, I mean, Crow's bad luck will work in his favor as far as fighting Raven is concerned, but she's aware of his semblance and how it works, so she will be able to counter it. What was I going to say before that was brought up? I can't remember.
Adam and Yang?
For God's sake. I don't know. Yeah,
My bad.
I mean, Chapter 12, anything can happen from here.
Literally anything can happen from here, and that's what really scares me, is because, like, even with this episode, I had sort of an idea. I was like, okay, the ambush, but like, you know, but they're expecting it. But now, like, after what they pulled at the end of this episode, I'm like,
I have no idea.
The sun falls into Haven. That seems likely, right?
Oh, I remembered. When Oscar saw Hazel come in, he said, "Oh no," but that's because he recognizes him because he saw him at the train station last volume.
Right.
So he was saying, bloody hell,
knows him.
Here's this guy again. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, we know they have history.
Well, yeah, because he even said someone from my past.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, he knows who Hazel is, and that's what concerns me. Is that, like, the fact that he was so worried about Hazel coming to the door, that he, because he knows who he is. It's like, what's so dangerous about this guy? Exactly.
Ruby Sakurai says, wasn't Cinder standing nearby Crow when she threw the spear? No. Crow and Raven, once they took off, were totally out of the picture for the rest of the chapter. We didn't even see them. So,
we did see them.
We saw them when Sylvie
activated her eyes.
Oh yeah, we saw them briefly there. Yeah.
But
that was it.
Very, very briefly in a wide shot, in a very wide shot, which included everybody. But yeah, no, that event had nothing to do with Crow's bad luck. That was just Cinder being a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
but
that
that's an
was really...
extremely wide shot, Ruby Sakurai. That's like, I don't think that Crow's bad luck was a factor in any of what happened there.
Yeah,
it was just Cinder being Cinder. So yeah, I feel like we've basically covered everything now, haven't we?
The only other thing I have written down is I'm more than a name that Weiss said.
Yes, loved that line. Yeah, that was a great line. I'm more than a name. Yeah, and
Weiss's character building the entire series has been fantastic.
It has been excellent. And now we realize why they've been building her up so much, because it was leading up to this moment. And now I've said this to Cory before, but now we realize why the Belladonna's thing went so well, because this was coming. And, like, why everything's gone so well up until now, because this was coming. And, like, this was the big, terrible thing they were building up to, but nobody realized that that's what it was, because they were distracting us with so many other things. I just remembered something, too, that I saw on Residual.com. In Weiss's character short, Winter says to her, "I'm not always going to be around to save you, Weiss." This is what that was foreshadowing. And that's scary.
They even gave us the little thing with when she was captured by bandits and Winter's not coming to save you, like we all kind of thought maybe might happen. Like we were all like, oh, that's what that was foreshadowing. Good.
Yeah.
No, it's a giant spear in your back.
Oh God, please don't die.
I know. I mean, I don't think they can kill her just because they know what it will do to
the fandom.
The fandom, and I mean, like Wade said earlier, she is one of the four main characters. Like her name is in the title, basically. Like she can't be killed.
Right. A lot of the other characters are basically expendable. I mean, even if Jean and Ren and Nora are very crucial characters, they aren't the main characters. No. The show is called Ruby. I mean, it's RWBY. It's about the four girls. I mean, overall, at the end of the day, that's what the show is about. There's other characters that are important, but they are essentially expendable as much as we don't want them to be.
If this was Volume 9, I'd be a lot more worried about Weiss than I am because it's Volume 5. Like, there's a lot of show left.
The show's not ending after this volume, so yeah.
There's a lot of show left. If they kill her now, I'm not watching Volume 6. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to watch Ruby without Weiss. I'm sorry, but I don't.
They wouldn't call the show Ruby anymore. They couldn't.
Exactly, it'd be Ruby.
Yeah, Ruby.
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 Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
Because that's what will happen if they kill Weiss. I will be saying bye, Felicia, to the show. But it's not going to happen.
There's been so many comments of people saying they're going to boycott the show.
Yeah. No, I will absolutely boycott the show. She's my favorite fucking character. This is not Game of Thrones, for God's sake. Don't kill my favorite character.
I would have felt the same way if it had been Yang, so yeah. I was not in a steady state during Volume 3, Chapter 11.
Nobody was, bro.
When that happened, Yang, because Yang's my favorite character, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have prattled on about this quite long enough.
Nah.
So, yeah, chapter 12, man, I don't even want to say anything, because whatever I say, I'll jinx it.
You will be wrong.
I
think the only thing we can safely say is that it will start at Blake.
Just say Weiss will die.
Yes. Probably start.
Just say Weiss will die, and then you'll be wrong, and then they'll be it.
No. I don't want to prove them right, though, is the problem.
I meant for Beck.
I'm like 97% sure Weiss is going to survive this, but 3% not.
I know.
We'll see what
happens. That's a really heavy 3%.
Yeah, it's very heavy 3%. It's a 3% of I won't watch the show anymore. Yeah, so my reaction I'm going to upload today. It should be up on time unless I have problems with it. Hopefully I won't. It's a journey. Let's just say that. I need to go censor the fuck out of it too before I upload it.
Okay, well, did you need to release an uncensored version at some point too?
I'm not doing that.
I think it'll be pretty obvious on the bleeps what was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
You stupid beep.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there were a few of those in there.
I'm not saying anything. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching the Boopcast. Obviously, because we've had Wade on before, there wasn't a Weissbreaker for this week. Next week, we don't quite have the guest locked down yet. We're gonna see what happens, but it should be exciting. Hopefully.
I'm always an expendable guest if you need me.
Wade's our backup man. It's just so difficult to organize people this volume because, you know, there's so many freaking episodes. So,
yeah. Also, we had a break, and then after the episode came out, you know, Beck was gone for a few days, so it was.
Yes.
We kind of just got caught up in the break, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh crap, we have to be scheduling.
Oh crap, the podcast is tomorrow. We need guests. Yeah, exactly. No, you will not get early access because I don't want Rooster Teeth to delete my account.
Yeah.
Not that would happen. I don't want a copyright strike.
It will be a Saturday morning when the episode 12 is out.
Yes, it will be at 2:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, my time, as always. Oh boy, I really want to stay up and watch on Sunday if I can, because I don't think I'll be able to sleep. I'll be too anxious.
You might have to, honestly.
I might have to.
But then what will be going to bed? What will that be like?
Yeah.
And what happens if you scream again?
Yeah. Oh, Christian, I need to give you access to the sub-only Discord channel. You should already have it, but I'll double check. Yeah.
He just has to attach his Twitch account to Discord.
Yes, yeah. It should be already synced, but it didn't sync for Chazo, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching the Boopcast, and we will see you next week, or we'll see you on Sunday for all of our reactions anyway. Please make sure to follow Wade on Twitter and all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next week after Chapter 12. Oh boy.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.